This might be one of the biggest events boxing has ever seen. Now we're 6 weeks away from one of the biggest boxing events we've seen and one of the most creative events we might have seen. If you guys don't know, this event is set to be held in Times Square, New York. That's right, Times Square. Not Madison Square Garden, but Times Square. And I have no idea how this is going to work, and I think a lot of people are confused as well, considering it's such a busy place. Like, are they going to shut it down for a day and put a boxing ring in the middle? Are they going to have a dome in there? I honestly have no idea how that's going to work, but clearly a lot of money has been invested to allow an event to happen at Times Square, because I don't think this has ever really happened. There's never been a boxing or sporting event at Times Square. And apparently there's going to be no tickets sold. It's going to be an open, free event to the public, essentially meaning boxing fans and non-boxing fans will see this event. As you know, Times Square is a real popular place in New York, so the general public will be walking around and might see a crazy event going on. So I'm looking forward to how it's going to be broadcasted and how it will look like in person. In fact, I'm actually considering going to New York to even see the event myself. But as for the event itself, it's going to be huge. We have 3 top name fighters, not to mention who are all rivals, fighting on the same card. It's a pretty stacked card to say the least. And who do you think is responsible for putting this all together? Of course, it's Turki Al-Sheikh. This guy is putting boxing back where it needs to be and is making these huge events happen. We already saw Bivol Beterbiev earlier on in the year, which is arguably the biggest card that boxing's ever seen. And only 3 months later, we're seeing another one of the biggest boxing events ever. So it looks like boxing's making a huge comeback and everyone's getting really excited for these events. But in today's video, we're going to break down the entire card, talk about the possibilities, and go into slight detail on each fight and how it could go down. Now, I'm not going to go into the technical aspects and break down each fight from a boxing perspective, as I plan on making individual videos for each of these fights, considering each fight is a huge one. And not to mention, I've already made a video on Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero and how that's most likely going to go down, in my opinion. So I would highly recommend after this video you go ahead and watch that one. But I feel like there's so much to talk about on all of the fighters on this card, especially the main 3. Obviously the main 3 being Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez. Now, if you guys didn't know, and maybe you weren't tuned into boxing a couple years ago, around 5-6 years ago, these 3, along with Gervonta Davis, were known as the lightweight prospects and the future of the sport of boxing. They were all undefeated prospects at the time and were all set to face each other in their prime. Well, fast forward a few years and some of them have faced each other. Ryan Garcia facing most of them, and their circumstances and situations are very, very different. Now, as we all know, Ryan Garcia is the face of this card, as he probably is the biggest name on this card at the moment after his win to Devin Haney, which has been overturned, but that win definitely elevated him to one of the biggest names in the sport of boxing. And you may or may not know, but the point of this card is to lead to a huge rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy regarding the PEDs and Osterine situation with Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney feels that he was cheated, and Turki Al-Sheikh's plan is, if both of these fighters win their fight, then they will go on to have a rematch in October. However, both of their fights aren't just stepping stone fights. They're both genuine world champion contenders. Ryan Garcia facing Rolly Romero, who is a previous world champion, and Devin Haney facing Jose Ramirez, who is a 2-time world champion, and both top name fighters. And although they are both the favorites for those fights, it may still be a tough fight for them. Now, we have just seen the launch of press conferences both in New York and Los Angeles, and it's interesting the behavior we've seen from most of these fighters, and really not what anyone was expecting at all. Now, as for Ryan Garcia, we've seen a very different Ryan Garcia in this press conference and in this fight compared to his last fight against Devin Haney. Obviously, we all know his antics from the Devin Haney fight. He'd kind of lost the plot a little bit, was very outspoken, and people thought he was crazy. Whereas in this fight, he seems a lot more matured and calmed down. He has a very different approach, and yeah, he's still the same Ryan Garcia. He just seems a lot more quiet and focused maybe. And that could be a good thing. It seems that Ryan is training hard at the moment. You know, he's back with Eddie Reynoso, and I know he's not training with Eddie for this fight, but he's pretty locked in. Seems focused, and I think we can see a great Ryan Garcia on fight night. Now, as for Devin Haney, he seems a little bit nervous. He seems very quiet. Now, Devin's not really an outspoken person. He's always a little bit quiet and focused, but he seems more quiet than usual.
Devin, last week you seemed very quiet, very reserved, not like...
Almost as if he's nervous. And that would make sense. You know, it's his first time fighting since that beatdown loss to Ryan Garcia, where he was knocked down multiple times in front of the whole world. So yeah, his personality is going to be a little bit different. And I guess he's ready to prove to the world that he is at that top level and try and get his respect back. Because, let's be honest, everyone lost a little bit of respect for him after he tried suing Ryan Garcia and he milked the whole PED situation. Whether or not Ryan was guilty or not, he did milk it a little bit and was a little bit of a sore loser, and people lost a lot of respect for him because of his antics after he lost the fight. So obviously he's going to try and attempt to get his respect back from this fight, but I think he's being more quiet than anything. Now, is that a bad thing? Who knows? Maybe he's focused, maybe he isn't the same Devin Haney. I guess his fight with Jose Ramirez on May 2nd will answer a lot of questions for us as the fans. You know, did Ryan Garcia break him? Is he going to be the same fighter? Will he ever be the same fighter? I guess we'll find out on fight night, because Devin Haney should beat Jose Ramirez. However, we'll see if he has the capability to do it after his loss to Ryan Garcia. Now, Teofimo Lopez. I don't think it surprises anyone that he is the most outspoken one on this entire card. This guy is trying to put on an entertainment show for the press conferences, and it's working. He's selling the fight, but you can tell him and his opponent Arnold Barboza have a genuine hatred towards each other. And to be real, Teofimo has been the highlight of the press conferences so far. In the last press conference, we saw him slap Arnold Barboza, and every encounter these two have had with each other, it's been nothing but heated. So these two have a genuine beef, and I think it will make for a great... Teo can be an elite level fighter if he's focused, like he was against Lomachenko or Josh Taylor. However, if he's an unfocused Teo, like he was against Sandor Martin or George Kambosos Jr., then it's not going to be so good. And it's honestly a hit or miss whether we're going to see a good Teo on the night. But it seems that he's pretty focused, pretty dialed in, and he really wants to beat Arnold Barboza, so I'm hoping that will bring out the best Teofimo Lopez. Now, Ryan Garcia has also stated that after the Devin Haney rematch, he would like to also fight Teofimo Lopez. So it's basically 3 rivals on the same card, and all of these fighters have expressed the desire to fight each other in the future over the past few years. And I think their performances on May 2nd will definitely dictate their future and whether or not they'll be able to land those big fights. So like I said, in the next coming days, I will release videos on each individual fight in more detail. However, that's an overview of the card as a whole. How do you guys think the card will play out? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. Anyways, that'll be all. I'll catch you in the next one.